Hey everybody, what's going on today? I'm East Coast Pete. This is my show Mid-Rock Crisis. Today we're going to talk about Pearl Jam. Formed in 1990, it's a grunge band, actually from Seattle. It's a grunge band actually from Seattle. Mike McCready, lead guitar, Stone Gossard, rhythm guitar, Jeff Ament, bass, Mike Cameron, drums, Boone Gaspar, and Eddie Vedder, lead vocals and guitar, comprises the current lineup. I don't believe Eddie Vedder is from Seattle. Drummers Jack Irons, Dave Cruzen, Matt Chamberlain, and Dave Ambrosies are former members. They're formed from the remains of Mother Love Bone. It's a pre-grunge band also from Seattle in 1987. Pearl Jam broke into the mainstream with debut album 10 in 1991. It was released on Epic. Since gone 13 times platinum. That's a whole heck of a lot of platinum. Here are the songs. Once, that's the first one. It's got an odd time signature. Not really liking it. It's just lots and lots of noodles. Next song, 2, Even Flow. I like this. This is pretty good. It's true. The lyrics are pretty indecipherable, but so what? Just go read them along while he's singing. They've got to be printed somewhere. 3, Alive. But is that hook original? Where have I heard it? It'll come to me. At a point for actually being still alive, these guys, good going. Not all grunge artists are. That matter, not all rock and roll or rock or acid rock or whatever rock. Seems to take its toll. And 4, Why Go? It's kind of a psychedelic song for a grunge band. And then 5, Black. And I love the middle 8. Or is it a long chorus? I don't care. No matter. It's got it. And then, of course, the immortal Jeremy. An artist, a mountain, a lemon sun. Very majestic song. Classic will be with us for a long time. Next is Oceans. I think their songs are too long. And their voice noodles at the end, and it's a long, drawn out exclamation point ending. Probably be in the Guinness Book of World Records song ending. And 8, Porch. And that's not Porch Swinning Annie. 9, Garden. The vocals are double tracked, but still sparse and dark. It turns into a jam in a minor key. Okay, is this about sex? 10, Deep. 11, Release. Now, unbeknownst to me until recently, Pearl Jam didn't do videos and didn't give interviews. By 2012, 85 million albums sold worldwide, 32 million in the US alone. This is without videos, without interviews. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2017. Let's go way back in time to Mother Love Bone. And when that ended, when Andrew Wood died from a heroin OD, there is an album Apple released in 1990. Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Jack Irons gave a demo to his friend Eddie Vedder from San Diego. See? Yeah, it's not from there. He had been in bad radio. While surfing, Vedder thought of lyrics for 3 instrumental songs, Alive, Once, and Footsteps. He sent the tape with his vocals to Seattle, and Pearl Jam was impressed and flew Vedder north for an audition. And he joined, and Dave Cruzen came in on drums. They first called themselves Mookie Blaylock. After the NBA forward, they opened for Alice in Chains at the end of 1990. And Epic signed Mookie Blaylock. That's the band, not the basketball player. Epic probably has no need for basketball players. And they changed the name to Pearl Jam. And Vedder explains that his grandmother, who was named Pearl, had a great recipe for peyote-laced jam. But later, Vedder admitted that that was nonsense. His grandma Pearl never made jam with peyote buttons. The fabrication was created for the media, with whom Vedder seemed to always be at odds. Album 10 was mostly Stone and Jeff. McCready and Vedder would contribute more subsequently. Cruzen left the band drummerless as he checked himself into a rehab. Matt Chamberlain, formerly of Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, but he also left to join the SNL band. SNL band, huh? Important to some. Dave Ambrosius came in to complete the tour for 10, and the album was named after Mookie Blaylock's uniform number. Dark themes, depression, suicide, loneliness, death, widely accepted as the grunge lexicon. A live track was an Oedipal kind of song. Jeremy was about a high school kid who shot himself in front of classmates. Kurt Cobain was not amused with Pearl Jam, calling them sellouts and only in it for the money. Cobain also thought there was too much noodling to be truly alt-rock. I don't believe that the fans of Pearl Jam would agree with Kurt about that. Am I wrong? Meanwhile, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden were responsible for the grunge explosion of the 90s. Others along for the ride were Mudhoney, Screaming Trees, The Melvins, Bush, Candlebox, Hole, Mad Season, Everclear, Dinosaur Jr., Nickelback, Blind Melon, Veruca Salt, Creed, Janen's Addiction, and Puddle of Mud. Of course, there were many more. Live Pearl Jam shows are considered particularly intense. In 1992, they were given a slot at the Summer Lollapalooza tour with Ministry, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Soundgarden. Success was not easy for Pearl Jam, especially Vedder, who bore the brunt of the crushing media interest. Their label insisted on music videos, but Pearl Jam said no. Vedder felt that music videos robbed their audience of their own interpretation of a song. I get that. Yep. In 1993, the second album, VS, sold nearly 1 million albums in the first week, outperforming every other top 10 entry combined. Singles were Go, Daughter, Animal, and Dissident. the band set a cap on ticket prices. To discourage scalping, Ticketmaster was accused of price gouging. Ticketmaster was a commercial monopoly, controlling venues. And you can thank Ticketmaster for skyrocketing ticket prices for major acts. How much of that goes to the band? The Department of Justice would investigate Ticketmaster and asked Pearl Jam to create a memorandum of their experience with Ticketmaster. Gossard and Ament testified at a subcommittee investigation in 1994, and a bill was drafted and passed lamenting ticket service fees. And Pearl Jam canceled its summer tour to raise awareness, since the Department of Justice dropped the case. Pearl Jam boycotted Ticketmaster. There were no Pearl Jam concerts at Ticketmaster-controlled venues. Only benefits where charities could print their own tickets. Pearl Jam also wanted the albums produced on vinyl only, and this delayed the release of Vitology. After it was recorded, drummer Dave Ambrosius was fired because he disagreed with the boycott. Vader's close friend, ex-Chili Peppers drummer Jack Irons, was eventually brought in. Vitology was released in vinyl and cassette and on CD. The music was stripped bare of effects, leaving the music spare and uncompromising, a reflection of relevant songs. Spin the Black Circle was an homage to vinyl records. Other singles include Not For You, Corduroy, Better Man, and Immortality, and I personally am very glad to see vinyl on a comeback. I don't dislike digital, but vinyl has a certain quality that nothing digital ever reaches. Now, Pearl Jam was miffed that no other bands joined the boycott. Neil Young was sympathetic, having said that CDs and digital recordings lacked heart. Pearl Jam backed Neil Young on his album Mirror Ball, uncredited. 1996 saw No Code album, A New Direction for Pearl Jam. And then 1998 saw Yield as a return to the 10 sound. Soundgarden drummer Matt Cameron replaced Jack Irons. Pearl Jam returned to full touring as the Ticketmaster suit had failed. Pearl Jam capitulated so that their fans could see them at the usual venues. It kind of sucks, don't it? A single, Last Kiss, was released, with profits going to refugees of the Kosovo War that divided Yugoslavia into 5 different nations. Last Kiss became their highest charting single. In 2000, it saw the binaural album. Eddie was experiencing writer's block, and Mike McCready was in rehab for prescription drug overuse. Matt Cameron was new to Pearl Jam. Songs on this album were recorded using a binaural technique. It's meant for the songs to sound 3D, or like the listener is in the same room as the performer. Singles were Light Years and Nothing Is As It Seems and Grievance. And sales were down to 700,000 copies. No platinum. Originally intended to provide fans with a better and more affordable product than the typical bootleg. The live albums were intended for fan club members, but the label, of course, balked at this The result was that the live shows were also offered to the public in record stores. And there were 72 live albums released in 2000 and 2001. Whew. At a show in Denmark, 9 fans were crushed underfoot and suffocated to death as the crowd pushed to the front of the venue. Pearl Jam was considering retirement because of that. It wasn't their fault. Venues ought to, you pay for your seat with your ticket. You don't pay one price and rush the stage. That's not smart. 2002 saw a Riot Act album, more folk-based, more spiritual, in remembrance of 9/11 and the Denmark tragedy. Boone Gasper played a Hammond B3 organ on Love Boat Captain. And then 2003, the epic contract was fulfilled. Pearl Jam had no interest in finding a new label. The band could now distribute recordings and live shows however they wanted. They chose to distribute through independent record stores only. But then in 2006, they did sign with J Records, another Sony subsidiary, since folded into RCA Records. 8th studio album, Pearl Jam, seen as another return to the 10 sounds. Worldwide Suicide criticized the Iraq War. Went to number 1 in the US. It's the first number 1 since Who You Are in '96. Another single, Life Wasted, also charted. In 2007, a cover of The Who's Love, Rain or Me was cut for the Mike Binder film of the same name. In 2008, the band headlined at the Bonnaroo Music Festival. In 2009 saw Backspacer, their 9th studio album. Then it debuted at number 1. The album was decidedly pop and new wave. The lyrics were not dark at all. Fans flocked to Target anyway, which was chosen as the exclusive big box store retailer. The Fixer was the first single. 2013 saw Lightning Bolt, it's the next album, the single Mind Your Manners, and then Sirens pushed the album to number 1. 2018 will see the band back in the studio for its 11th effort. Did that come out? Pearl Jam cites The Who, Led Zeppelin, Neil Young, and the Ramones as influences. And their sleeve art, at least on their first and second albums, are far from the best I've ever seen. You guys gotta hire yourself a graphic artist. Now, the 4 bands at the top of the grunge pantheon, I'm going to put them in this order. Number 1, Alice in Chains. 2, STP. 3, Nirvana. And 4, Pearl Jam. It's my opinion. It's my show. But thank you for hanging with me throughout, and I'll see you next time on Mid-Rock Crisis. Everybody take excellent care of one another.